I really need your prayers. I really do. John 13, verses 36 to 38. Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, whither goest thou? Jesus answered him, Whither I go, thou canst not follow me now, but thou shalt follow me afterwards. Peter said unto him, Lord, why cannot I follow thee now? I will lay down my life for your sake. Brethren, be careful what comes out of your mouth. Be careful what comes out of your mouth. Jesus answered him, Wilt thou lay down thy life for my sake? Truly, truly, I say unto you, the cock shall not crow till you have denied me 3 times. John 18, verses 25 to 27. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, Art not thou also one of his disciples? He denied it and said, I am not. One of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose ear Peter cut off, saith, Did not I see thee in the garden with him? Verse 27. Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew. So, Peter boasts. Peter is proven to be a liar. John 13, Peter boasts. John 18, Peter is proven to be a liar. John 21. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. And on this wise showed he himself. There were together Simon Peter, and Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other of his disciples. And Simon Peter said unto them, I go a-fishing. They say unto him, We also go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples didn't know that it was Jesus. So he looked like a man, but they didn't recognize him. So the body was gone. This was the formation of his, of his personality on the outside anyway. It was an aggregate of Jesus' personality, Elijah's personality, and the Archangel Michael. Then Jesus saith unto them, Children, have you any meat? And they answered him, No. And he said unto them, Cast your net on the right side of the ship, and you shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Therefore that disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, It is the Lord. See, John recognized him by the miracle. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked, meaning he just had like a loincloth on, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fishes. And soon then, as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid on, and bread. And Jesus said unto them, Bring of the fish which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to the land full of great fishes, 153. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. And Jesus saith unto them, Come and dine with me. And none of the disciples dared to ask him, Who are you? Because they knew it was the Lord. And a miracle had happened, that he was resurrected. Jesus then comes and taketh bread and giveth them, and fish likewise. This is now the 3rd time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples after that he was risen from the dead. So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, do you agape me more than these? Do you love me with the love of God? Do you love me through spiritual attachment? Are you more spiritually attached to me than you are to your fellow disciples? And Peter says unto him, Yes, Lord, you know that I phileo you. I love you with a brotherly love. And Jesus says to him, feed my lambs, feed the people that have a young Christ in them. Now here it doesn't say Jesus, it says he. So the question is, who was talking to him? Jesus, Elijah, Michael, who's talking to him? I guess it's Jesus. He saith to him again in the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, do you agape love me? Are you attached to me by spiritual attachment? And he saith unto him, yes, Lord, you know that I phileo you. I have a brotherly love for you. He saith unto him, feed my sheep, feed my older disciples. He saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, do you phileo me? Do you have a brotherly love for me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, do you love me? And he said unto him, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. So Peter still wasn't being exactly honest. He wouldn't say I agape you, okay? But Jesus must have been wanting to pull some kind of a confession out of him that wasn't coming. That's why Peter was grieved, because the issue was crucifixion. And Peter did not love him enough to be crucified for him. And he didn't want to bring the issue to that level. In other words, he was holding back his true heart. He was holding back his true heart from Jesus. He was saying, yes, I love you. And Jesus wanted him to say, I love you, but not enough to be crucified for you. And he wouldn't say it. Okay? So now he's no longer bragging, but neither was he fully willing to face the truth of what Jesus was trying to pull out of him. And then he says, verily, verily, I say unto you. Who's saying this? I don't know. Let's see. I always thought it was Peter. Verily, verily, I say unto you, when you were young, now this is Jesus talking to Peter, I guess. When you were young, you dressed yourself, and you walked wherever you wanted to go. But when you are old, when you shall be old, you shall stretch forth your hands, and another shall dress you and carry you wherever you would not go. So Jesus could not get Peter to admit that he would not be crucified for him. See? First he's bragging that he would die for him. Now he won't admit that he wouldn't be crucified for him. And Jesus is telling him, well, you cannot say to me that you're willing to be crucified for me, knowing what it means. Because when Peter first said I would die for you, he wasn't even thinking about the consequences. Now he wouldn't say it, I'll be crucified for you. And Jesus says to him, you cannot do it now, but when someone else dresses you, you'll be able to do it. When the giant Elijah comes into existence within you, and he's the one that determines where you go and what you do, you'll be able to do it. So Jesus is prophesying that Peter's going to be crucified. Peter doesn't like it. Verse 19, he says, this spake he, signifying by what death he should glorify God. And when he had spoken thus, and Jesus is still talking about Jesus, when Jesus said that, signifying what death he should glorify God, and everybody thinks he's talking about himself, but he's talking about Peter. Jesus is already glorified in this account. He's talking about Peter, signifying by what death should glorify God through Peter. And when he said this, he said unto him, follow me and be crucified like me. And Peter said, oh no, see that disciple whom Jesus loved following, which also leaned on his breast at dinner and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth you? Not me. No, I don't want to be crucified for you. Then Peter, turning about, seeth this disciple whom Jesus loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper, that's John, and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth thee? I'm not even sure what that means. Is he actually saying that John will betray him? I never saw that before. Peter, seeing him, saith to Jesus, Lord, what shall this man do? Then Peter, turning about, seeing the disciple who Jesus loved following them, which also leaned on his breast at dinner. I see. Peter was looking at John. He was the one who said, which one of us betrays you? And then Judas was revealed. Okay. So Peter, seeing him, the disciple John who did that, who made the statement that every one of us is capable of betraying you, Peter, seeing him, says to Jesus, Lord, and what shall this man do if I'm going to be crucified? What about him? He's the one with the great discernment. And Jesus saith unto him, if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to you? You follow me. And then this saying went abroad among the brethren, that disciple should not die. Yet Jesus said not unto him, he shall not die. But if I will that he tarry till I come, what is it to you? So Peter went from bragging that he would die for him to saying, no, I don't want to be crucified for you. What about John? And Peter had some problems with Paul. He was backing down from some of the Jews. In other words, what does that mean? He wanted to be accepted. He didn't want to be an outcast. There were indications in the Gospels that he didn't want to be an outcast, that when he was around the Jews, he was acting like a Jew, rather than a liberated Jew, which they weren't Christians yet, they were liberated Jews.